Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today is just going to be a quick little video taking a look at 3 popular oils and butters. So we'll be taking a look at cocoa butter, shea butter, and coconut oil. So it seems like most people have 2 out of 3 of these, so I'm constantly asked about using one for the other. And the thing is, these 3 ingredients are really, really different, and they don't make great alternatives for one another. So I wanted to take a look and show you how they're different. We'll take a look at consistency, texture, melting point, and you'll really be able to see and understand why we might choose one instead of the other. So come on, let's go take a look. So here we have cocoa butter, here we have some shea butter, and here we have some coconut oil. So all 3 of these are their unrefined states. So you can see that the cocoa butter and the shea butter are still yellowish, and you can't smell it, but all 3 of these have their sort of their original scent. So we've got, the cocoa butter smells like chocolate. The shea butter is sort of smoky and just sort of very characteristically shea butter. It's hard to describe. And the coconut oil, of course, smells like coconut, and it smells incredible. So cocoa butter is really quite firm. It's brittle at room temperature, as you can see, and it comes in chunks much larger than this, and then all the way down to sort of a cocoa butter dust when you get down to the bottom of your tub. So when it melts at 34 degrees Celsius, more or less. So you can see that, as I'm holding it, it's not turning into a puddle. And when I rub it into my skin, I can hold it without it melting too much. And as I rub it in, like a little bit there is coming off, and it's, I can feel it, but it's certainly not liquefying at all. And it's very smooth, and it's not at all sticky, and it smells like chocolate. So here we have our unrefined shea butter. So it's much softer. You can hear that when I drop it, there's no tinking against the glass. And you can see I've already picked some shea butter up on my fingers just by touching it. It's a little bit crumbly and quite inclined to stick to your skin. And so shea butter melts at about 37 degrees. You can see as I rub that across my hand, it starts to leave some streaks and goes off in pretty big clumps. And we can rub it in and actually get quite a thick coating on this skin here, which makes shea butter great for extra dry skin and fantastic for eczema. It's also a little bit sticky. You can kind of see as I break it up, it's definitely got some tack to it. So in a situation where a recipe called for cocoa butter, not only is shea butter much softer than cocoa butter, but it's sticky, and cocoa butter is not sticky. So that would be a characteristic that the recipe wasn't really accounting for that you would be adding. And you can see that as it starts to melt on my skin, because it does melt right around body temperature, you can see it's quite thick and oily there. I mean, I have applied quite a lot to the skin, so that's not too surprising. But yeah, you can see that it's a very thick, sticky butter that's fantastic for super dry skin. And now for some coconut oil. So the coconut oil is really soft, and you can see here I can squish it really easily. It melts at 24 degrees Celsius, which is well below body temperature. And depending on where you live, it might also be below room temperature. So it's summer here, and I've obviously got some big bright lights on, so this is pretty soft and melting pretty quickly. Because coconut oil has a melting point so much lower than body temperature, pretty much as soon as it touches your skin, it's going to start to liquefy, as you can see right there. This means that coconut oil is amazing for products where you want them to melt quickly and have really nice slip. So a lip balm made with coconut oil will really glide across your skin. Anything that relies on coconut oil to be solid, though, that's a bit of a gamble because, of course, 24 degrees is not that warm. So if you leave that in your car or something on a hot day, it will completely liquefy. So if we give this a little push here, you can see there's quite the puddle of oil forming around on the top of my hand. And yeah, it's just completely melting into absolute nothingness, which the shea butter did not do. And so I'll just get rid of that there. And so this oil is much thinner than shea butter. You can sort of see it glides much better. Like nothing about coconut oil is sticky. And so it glides right on. And it's quite thin, so it's not actually a really fantastic hydrator for very dry skin and very dry environments because it is so thin, but that makes it a great choice for especially warmer climates or oily skin. So I think the butter swap I'm asked about most often is using cocoa butter for shea butter or vice versa. And this is rarely a good idea. And this is for a couple of reasons. One, cocoa butter is way harder than shea butter. Now it's firmly solid here with the same amount of pressure. You can absolutely smoosh through the shea butter, and the cocoa butter is completely unfazed. And then shea butter actually has quite, it's got a higher melting point. So it brings a slightly higher melting point, which generally can mean less glide. It means that this is going to be more likely to skid across your skin, whereas this would glide. There's also the consideration of the texture. Whereas shea butter is tacky and quite thick, goes on quite thick, cocoa butter is smooth and goes on to the skin in a thin, smooth layer. Another swap I'm often asked about is using coconut oil instead of shea butter or vice versa. And this is not always a bad swap because, as you can see, both of these oils are soft at room temperature. It's just that one is quite a lot softer and one is going to melt much, much more quickly on contact with your skin than the other one is. So very often you can use these two for each other, but do keep in mind that if the recipe called for coconut oil and you're using shea butter, you're going to get something with a much higher melting point and something that could be quite a bit stickier depending on the proportion of coconut oil that was called for in the recipe. It also obviously won't smell like pina coladas like a nice coconut oil will. I am sometimes asked about using coconut oil instead of cocoa butter or vice versa, and this is just really never a very good idea. The melting points are so different and the textures are so different that in anything where we're relying on really any of the characteristics of either of these oils to be an integral part of a recipe, they're going to perform completely different. So this is just not a great alternative. All right, so now you know, cocoa butter, shea butter, and coconut oil are all really different from one another. If you need to use something other than cocoa butter, then kokum butter is going to be your best choice. If you want to swap out shea butter for something, I found mango butter to be my favorite shea butter alternative. And if you need to use something other than coconut oil, then babassu oil is a fantastic choice. So there you go. That's been our quick look at these 3 oils and butters. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe and I will see you next time.